We have already reached session number 4, and therefore we have to rebuild our stage a little bit. So give us a minute. I think so. We do rebuild the stage. Okay, so let's give us a minute for that. Session number 4, pushing the limits, the new dimension of mobility. It is indeed the last session of the day, but don't worry, we have saved some of the coolest topics for you. Satellites, metaverse, communication in the times of digitalization. And we start with an experiment here. I won't tell you too much about it, but after we have rebuilt the stage, I thought you're doing it while I was speaking. That's why I'm checking always with the others. But obviously nobody is doing something. Then I just leave the stage and say, let's welcome Thorsten Graunke, Senior Scientist, Smart Sensing and Electronics from the Fraunhofer IIS.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for the warm welcome. Today, I look forward to telling you about the groundbreaking innovation that the Fraunhofer Institute is working on for the automotive industry, and how a car's sense of smell will make driving safer, healthier, and above all, more attractive for the future. How will we do this, and how are coincidence and wine involved? That will be subject of this session. Let's start with the wine. I've just returned from a vacation in Greece, and I brought back a little wine experiment for you. I need 2 volunteers who would like to taste the delicious wine. My colleague Basti will support me.
So, thanks, Thorsten. As Thorsten said, I need 2 volunteers here on the stage. So, any volunteers from your side? Okay, please come to the stage. One guy, another one. So the light is very, very shiny, so please. Okay, over there. Please come to the stage. Thank you. So, what's your name?
Daniel.
Daniel. Hi, Daniel. Please just place yourself on the table. And hi. Vanessa, yeah? I remember from earlier today. So also place yourself on the table. So I'll give you a quick explanation of our experiment. What do we want to do with you today is you get a glass of wine from me, and I just want you to smell the wine. So just use your nose, take a deep breath, and enjoy the aroma. And then we prepared a little randomized list of potential wine aromas that may be associated with this wine, and you also find the list in front of you. And just tick, let's say, to keep it short and simple, just tick 3 aromas from the list you think that may be in there. Okay, let's get started. Okay, for the other guys, you see a list here of various wine aromas. Of course, this list is not completed. There are some aroma is definitely in the wine. The 2 are just smelling. Others are not. But for today, there's no wrong or right, and we also won't tell you what's really in there. It's just a quick and short experiment. So let's see. They're doing okay. That looks good. So let's see what our scientist makes out of that. And for your help, we would like to thank you with, Thorsten said he just returned from his vacation in Greece, so 1 bottle of delicious Greek wine from you. And of course, 1 bottle for you. So, thanks.
Thanks to the volunteers, and have fun practicing. Here we have rose, earthy, and honey. from the first wine taster, and berry, apple, and thyme from the second panelist. As you can see, we have two evaluations that are completely different. The diagram in the background shows what kind of flavors could be present in wine. To identify these fine nuances is hard for an untrained nose, as you could see. Okay, now you're probably wondering what wine tasting has to do with innovative mobility. Wine aromas are composed of hundreds of individual gases known as volatile organic compounds. Until now, detecting these gases required elaborate lab work that was expensive and highly complex. At Fraunhofer, we discovered an approach that revolutionizes this process. We're currently developing a smart gas sensor to detect multiple gases. It's small, affordable, selective, and robust. It will open up brand new possibilities and areas of application for the automotive industry in terms of safety, health, the user experience, and the car as a third living space. I want to briefly describe you what we are actually doing, where we are today, and where we are headed. And this is where coincidence come into play, as it's so often the case with important and unique ideas. And here's the story of how it all began.
Thorsten and Vladimir, two men from two different worlds. Thorsten was put in a room with Vladimir because his workstation wasn't ready yet. Each of them worked on their own project. Vladimir is a physicist specializing in optics, who's currently working on the integration of nano-optics in silicon. Thorsten, a chemist, who's currently involved in the digitalization of human sensory perception. They came to know and appreciate one another and shared ideas, which is how they developed the interdisciplinary approach that led them to this unique and innovative idea.
Let me briefly explain what we are doing. I brought along a short video to show you. Enjoy the technical deep dive.
The principle of the multi-gas sensor. Almost every gas is IR active and has an optical fingerprint with specific absorption lines. Here's a chart with numerous gases and their associated wavelengths. These can be measured using an expensive spectrometer, such as an FTIR. It's cheaper to use a broadband light source in combination with optical bandpass filters. These are set in a filter wheel. The state-of-the-art is a maximum of 10. A photoacoustic cell with a built-in microphone serves as a receiver. Gas absorbs pulsed light with a specific wavelength, resulting in thermal expansion. This acoustic wave is measured by a pressure sensor. For example, a MEMS microphone or a cantilever microphone can be used as a pressure sensor. One filter is needed for water compensation. The remaining 9 filters can be selected on an application-specific basis. To characterize wines, at least 60 wine aromas have to be measured. This requires a combination of multiple filter wheels. Instead of a filter wheel, it's also possible to use a plasmonic filter array. For the visible range, Fraunhofer has implemented a chip with more than 1,000 spectral channels based on semiconductor technology, as well as receivers and other electronics. These can be adapted to a wavelength range from 400 nanometers to 14 micrometers and produced very inexpensively as a filter array. using semiconductor technology. The array can then be adapted to the specific application and put into mass production. The newly developed, highly integrated sensor comprises a microheater array that's mounted on a filter array. We use a photoelectric cell with a built-in pressure sensor as a receiver for all channels. As an alternative to a microheater array, we can also use an IR emitter and combine it with a shutter array. Both versions provide miniaturized, planar multispectral illumination that's combined with various detectors.
When we recorded the video, the cameraman didn't understand it. So I explained it to him again in a nutshell.
The principle of the multi-gas sensor for dummies. This duck and rattle represent two different gases. If you shine a blue light, the duck reacts with a sound, but the rattle doesn't. Now, if you shine a red light, the rattle reacts to this color, but the duck doesn't squeak. The louder the sound, the greater the number of ducks or rattles. If you know what light you're currently shining, you also know which toy or gas is currently responding.
Did you get it, Mr. Cameraman? The benefits of the multicast sensor that we are working on is mind-boggling. It's absolutely unique. It's smaller than a sugar cube, so it easily fits into any car. It's much more robust than existing solutions. It's selective, meaning it can measure multiple gases and aromas simultaneously. That's never been done before. And it's super cheap, especially in large quantities. Before I open up for questions, I'd like to tell you about the potential that this technology has for the automotive industry. I've brought along a few relevant use cases that should allow you to come up with areas of application. Maybe you are working on similar topics and we can join forces to generate added value for the future of automobility and society. Keeping cars in the car sharing industry free of unwanted smells will lead to greater adoption and higher customer satisfaction. A healthier environment, optimal ventilation and climate control, thanks to inner and outer monitoring, is also good for drivers and customers. In addition, we can increase safety by monitoring, for example, thermal runaway in electric vehicles. Some people even think that scent management in the car of the future will be an important topic. Create familiar home scents in a car interior for the ultimate user experience. Now, I'd like to hear your questions or any use cases that have come to mind. Thanks for listening and watching. If you'd like to discuss this in more detail, come and have a glass of wine with us today at the reception, or just write us. Yamas.
Thorsten, thank you very much. I'm very, very grateful that you have the explanation video for dummies as well. I was quite confused from the first one. Did I get that wrong at the end of the day? Cars can smell
Yes.
then? That's a new dimension for me, honestly. Well, how the hell did you get from wine aroma to a sensor for the automotive industry?
Yeah, because the measurement of or the characterization of wine, that's very difficult. And yeah, you have to detect there a minimum of 60 gases. So yeah, it's easily to go from there to the automotive industry and to the cars. Yeah.
Still in my head, a very crazy combination. The multicast sensor, is it already available? When will it be available?
Yeah, it's planned to have it in. Yeah, it's our vision to have it in every car in 2030. But yeah, we planned to characterize these plasmatic filters end of this year, beginning next year, and starting then with the prototyping of the sensor. Yeah.
Are there any ideas for different use cases where you can use it?
Yeah, as you saw at the beginning of the presentation, it's the characterization of wine. That's one use case that we have already, but there are a lot of other use cases you can feel free, yeah, in mind. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I told you, we saved some of the coolest topics for the end of the day. So, are there any questions from your side? Yes, we do have. Jay, let's start with you.
So, very interesting. One use case that comes immediately into my mind is, of course, healthcare.
Yeah.
When you are sick, your body chemistry starts to change. So, this is, of course, one aspect. Now, to mobility, healthcare, mobility, motion sickness. So, when you are sitting in the car, your passengers feel nauseous and so on, they might, whatever.
Yeah.
These sensors, could they maybe predict, help to in advance warn the bus driver or the car driver to say, hey, come on, slow down, this one over will simply throw up?
Yeah, I think that you could be able to do this with the sensor. Yeah? You can monitor the classical CO2, but also other gases. You can detect, yeah, from 1 to X gases. You can yeah, build up this light source modular. So yeah.
I just had that situation with my little one like last weekend, and it would be amazing if somebody would have warned me. Perfect. So, next question.
So there's a completely different story, what I'll tell you now. So I worked long time for an airline, and sometimes in the evening I got a call. We have smoke on board. We don't know where it's coming from. And then we checked out the galleys, for example, there's some food burned, or we have even the wire burning, or we have in the cockpit some problem with switches, and so on and so on. Would it not be really nice, and it's really big safety issue or safety story here for you, to identify what is exactly happening in a flight which this smoke. So can we still fly with a burnt food, or can we still not fly with a burnt wire? So this is, I think, much more better than smell something.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a very good use case. Yeah.
So we have a research project running at the moment with Boeing and Airbus here in Germany, funded, and even also Fraunhofer is on board. But this use case, we call it use case, should going on a Boeing test aircraft in 2 years. He's just searching, and you're coming in like a good from Earth. So we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
That's really good.
That's what I told you, what Shift Mobility is all about. Lots of smart heads in one room, and it's all about connecting. So, we have another question over there.
Hey, so basically, what I understood is after we now have a lot of recording devices for images and for sound, basically this is the first time you are able to record scent also continuously, like a movie, but for smelling.
Yeah.
So this will be the basis technology for bringing us smell into movies.
Yes.
So
Good to
many
hear.
great ideas in that room, I told you. Perfect. Any other questions from you? Yeah, we have another one over there.
How is your sensor affected by wind and air speed? So if you would, for example, install it on the exterior of a vehicle to smell not inside, to smell outside, for the air quality or stuff like that? Do we have to mount it somewhere where it's closed? Or is it okay to really place it somewhere outside of the vehicle with airflow and airspeed?
I think that should be no problem. You can protect it with a membrane, and then it should be good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So I think that was the last question. Thorsten, thank you very much for being with us today, and such an amazing approach.